Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another session on perspectives about today's essay topic. In few minutes, almost every Indian will be switching off their lights in their homes, in their rooms, and will be lighting a candle or a diya, or switching on their mobile torch light. So this is with regard to the call given by Honorable Prime Minister to do so at 9 o'clock for 9 minutes. Now, when this call was given, so the reasoning was it was to create a sense of hope, collective unity to fight coronavirus pandemic. So soon after, if you have watched news articles, watched TV channels, there were too many astrologers claiming various things. The significance of number nine, why at 9 o'clock, why for 9 minutes, and it is April 5. 4, 4 plus 5 is also 9, and it was announced at 9 o'clock. So many people are attributing such a significance to number 9. Now, there is media, there are astrologers, there are economists, there are sociologists, there are politicians, and there is common man. Everybody has a different reasoning. Everybody is interpreting the Honorable Prime Minister's call in their own different manners. Now, if you look at the qualification of education, many people might be having at least basic graduation and advanced graduations also. And of course, there are people who are saying that they will not switch off their light and they will not light diya or candle. And there are people saying that if people switch off light together, then the grid will collapse. And then there are people, on Twitter analyzing the whole situation, uh, counter arguments, and there are arguments. Counter arguments. Some say that anyway we switch off our lights during daytime, so there is no collapse of grid. Now, why am I talking about all these things? The purpose of education is to question the authority, is to question any idea, is to question to any reasoning, is to also enable one think critically, effectively, resolutely, and also quickly. Here, as per the topic, education must also train one for quick, resolute, and effective thinking. So, this is a line taken from Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech writing about the purpose of education. So, you know the meaning of quick, you know the meaning of resolute, that is determined, so it's basically determined, and then effective thinking. Effective thinking is something which is put into action, something which results in an outcome. So, do we have such kind of education in India? So that can be one kind of question. Then another kind of question: do we have such kind of education in the world? Do we have any models of education where such kind of quick, resolute, effective, critical, scientific, rational thinking is fostered or imparted in any universities, any kind of schools? So you can ask these kind of questions also. Now, when you start writing the essay, of course, you will be writing an introduction. You can start with a story. You can start with an issue. The way I mentioned about today's switching of the light. So whatever be its purpose, some people also claim that the virus will be killed by lighting diyas. Only an educated mind can ask a relevant question and counter such kind of ideas. So idea may be stupid. So you will come to know this is stupid only when you put reasoning into it. Now, this essay is not just about critical thinking, scientific thinking. You should not dwell into that territory too much. So here it is about quick, resolute, and effective thinking. So after writing introduction, write something about education itself. What do you understand by education? What is your own definition of education? And what do you understand by quick, resolute, and effective thinking? And the what is the relationship between such education and quick, resolute, and effective thinking? Once you establish the meaning and relationship between these important key words in the topic, you will get entire picture, entire meaning of the essay, which will be very clear to you. Then you have to come to the core argument. So whether you agree or disagree, mostly you will agree because this is what is required, thinking. So even today, thankfully UPSC prelims or even mains or interview has moved towards testing ability to think. So the questions demand you to think on the spot nowadays, unlike previous years. So the rote learning has gone. Now your universities, your schools, colleges do not impart an education which makes you think. Now you are learning it, self-learning, and through your own studies and through your own thinking, you're training yourself to think, right? So sometimes a formal education, uh, when it fails to enable one individual to think, so an environment or a kind of guidance can enable individuals to think. And then there is something called free thinking. So yes, quick, resolute, and effective thinking is needed, but at the same time, free thinking is also required. So free thinking results in formulation of ideas, economic ideas, scientific ideas, political ideas have transformed the world. The way it is today, the world is both largely good and at the same time it is also bad. So whatever is bad, we can attribute it to killing of those ideas which wanted to make it better. So those who have accepted better ideas have flourished. Those countries perform well in human development indices, and those countries which uh, uh, prevent free thinking or formulation of ideas have remained backward. So, write something on thinking and free thinking. See, every paragraph, one paragraph shouldn't be just elaboration of one idea. Within that idea, try to bring sub ideas and bring as much of depth as possible. Add layer after layer, and that comes only with your own thinking. You will have to be very curious and ask relevant questions. And then there is why aspect of the topic, why such education is needed, you will have to ask. And why such education is needed, that is quick, resolute, and effective. And to address which kind of issues and how to address those issues. So this will form uh, should form 70% of the essay. The remaining, defining the thing about education, thinking, and all should be just restricted to some 10%. And then there is solution and conclusion part, another 10%. So the body of the essay, where you will bring different perspectives, is where you ask question why such kind of education is needed. Here also you can divide briefly, can talk why it was needed in the past and why it is needed in the past and why it may be needed in the future. So likewise you can create three different dimensions and then identify the issue. It can be something related to religious issue, fundamentalism, terrorism, radicalization. So because it is growing everywhere, to fight such kind of things we may need quick, resolute, and effective thinking. And then there is media, then there is post-truth phenomenon, fake news phenomenon, social media, WhatsApp university, echo chamber effect. So many things are there. which are creating a section within the society which has utter disregard for facts. So even if you give them fact, they don't believe it because a particular leader who peddles lies is followed with so much blind faith that whatever he tells is a fact, right? So there are concepts like truthiness, and I had made a video about these kind of concepts previously. You might check them out. So you can use those concepts here when you're talking about media, social media, and why education, how education can counter such kind of phenomenon. See, it is a phenomenon, it is a process which is taking place and which is holding a grip over the society as the days are numbered. Uh, it sometimes appears that people who have disregard for facts are in majority, right? So then, now looking at the coronavirus stuff, global health issues, there also you can ask question like, now we are struggling to find out a vaccine. So a critical mind can ask, why not, you know, uh, have vaccines beforehand when you know that viruses can mutate, and there are already deadly viruses, and countries are busy in creating deadly viruses. Then there is issues of bioweapon and biosafety, biosecurity concepts which we discussed in previous topic. So uh, how can why I mean, see, like, common man can think resolutely, effectively, quickly, and there is a global leader of a nation, and there is NGO, there is an institution. Anybody should be, uh, all the stakeholders should be involved in this process. So, you will have to identify all the stakeholders within every idea that you discuss. So when it comes to climate change, so global leaders and global institutions, and at the same time common man play key role. So from their perspectives, identify why such kind of education is needed. And then there are things like inequality, discriminations, and gender issues, and there are economic issues. Then there are issues related to democracy, despotism, authoritarianism, dictatorship. So these thrive based on certain propaganda, based on certain brainwashing, based on certain use of muscle, money, power, and misuse of institutions. And these things take place only when there is a weaker society. A weaker society is the result of weaker education, and again weaker education is thrust upon them by particular system. uh, so educational institutions cannot alone make individuals think effectively. So then there is role of literature, there is role of reformers, there is role of leaders. We need enlightened individual in every society to awaken the society. You can talk about such kind of individuals who are there and who are there presently, and you know that such kind of individuals are treated differently nowadays. So now there is a new category of individual. You might have heard things like liptard, aptard, and now idiots. So, so of course, when you have so much of free time now, you are able to think and be creative and come up with so many new terminologies and so many propaganda things also. Now, you should bring the contrasting picture also. What happens if such kind of education is not imparted? So, when you do not impart such kind of critical thinking, quick thinking, ability to think quickly, think critically, scientifically in the minds of children, how will society degrade? So, that you can talk about by giving examples of the most poorest countries, and there are developed countries. Within developed countries, we have problems arising out of not having such kind of education. So US is a classical example nowadays. We can talk about it. And then there is relevant question: what are the hurdles that exist in giving such kind of education? So is it the education policy? Is it the mindset of the people? So mindset of the people, you know that in Pakistan certain section of people are against vaccination. There are certain section of terrorists who are against education, right? So you can talk about such kind of things. It can be about individual, it can be about community, it can be a religion, it can be a particular cult, sect, institution who propagate ideas which are antithetical to free thinking. And you have to talk about solutions to such problems, how to overcome these hurdles. So how will you make individuals believe that critical thinking is very essential for humans to flourish and to be happy in the long term? How will you convince them? What are the tools that you will use? What are the arguments that you will make? Right. See, whatever your solutions you write it from the heart. Of course, the entire essay you should write it from heart, very passionately. So don't write it to impress the reader with by dumping so much of content there. So write it in a way that kind of makes you more curious, makes you more engaged, makes you, while writing, you should be able to feel the intensity of thinking that you yourself undergoes. So think very hard. So be passionate about what you write. And then when you move towards conclusion, talk about future problems. Nobody, uh, most of the people didn't see the coronavirus pandemic. There is a video by Bill Gates in 2015 or 18, I don't remember. There is a TED talk talking about how he predicted in few years the virus will be the greatest threat to humanity. So only a few enlightened individuals can think about such kind of future problems. So you imagine such kind of future problems and how critical thinking. So be imaginative here. I mean, don't be afraid to think originally. Don't think that any idea is silly or ridiculous. Uh, think about very futuristic stuff and apply how basically dystopian kind of ideas, how the world will end, how the planet will end. So such kind of things, and identify how critical quick thinking can save future from going into dystopian or dystopian. uh, so it all depends on your imagination, your critical thinking. So the essay, don't deviate it to too much of scientific tempers, so much of critical thinking, but there should be urgency throughout the essay, urgency in addressing the problems, quick, resolute, and effective. So whatever thinking is there should be able to address a problem immediately. So now, taking the example of COVID-19. So can you think of any innovative ideas which are generated, and can you link back those innovative ideas to kind of education that people got, right? And education is a continuous process. Education is not a one time phenomenon. Keeping that in mind, you should go on writing the essay, right? So don't just think and imagine classrooms and write the entire essay. Education, there is experience, there is wisdom, and any education that respects an individual's experience and individual's wisdom and gives scope for that wisdom to come up with solutions, innovative ideas, is the right education. So think in these directions and come up with a very good essay. Any essay that is very fresh from the other competitors, your other competitors will always be given excellent marks. So you will always have 30 to 40 marks advantage if your essay is original. And today's topic, keep in mind to write future essays also. Any original thinking, if you put into your essay, will get you very good mark. And original essay comes only with original thinking, and original thinking only comes with you staying away from distractions and sitting freely yourself in some good place and thinking about the problems in hand. Wish you all the best. So it's almost 9 p.m. 8:54. India is going to switch off its lights. Uh, in a way, it's a good move. Looking at how it will create sense of hope. Let us just hope that people don't come onto streets and fire the crackers, don't create noise pollution or pollution of air. Everything that has been done, now there is clean air. Now if people fire crackers, uh, everything will be undone. So let us hope that doesn't happen. Wish you all the best. Don't think about prelims, don't think about mains, don't think about interview. These will be conducted 100% on May 31st or in future. But you keep preparing for the exam no matter when the exam is going to be conducted. Be so strong, be so resolute that nothing should affect your preparation. Wish you all the best. Take care. Good night.